I do think that it's so important to have a, a process, and, you're guiding people by it. I think that's incredibly, incredibly important. So yeah, if you could share a little bit about that, that would be fantastic.
Yeah, I am a UCLA grad, right? We can rock on every single day and talk about that. But I feel an immediate connection. I've always felt an immediate connection to Coach Wooden because he coached at UCLA. And I live by his pyramid of success. My dad, who was also a UCLA grad, would pull out these things from the pyramid when I was a young child, and things like "Be quick, don't hurry." Your competitive best is needed at the most critical moment, which is the very top of the pyramid. So all these things came colliding into my world few years ago, about 5 years ago, when the Arizona Diamondbacks were at a turning point. As far as I'm concerned, a turning point. Under my watch, we hadn't been winning, and I started to feel all these emotions and these things that were popping up every single day, and these words were showing up and appearing in my world. Our team lacked accountability. I felt like we weren't preparing well. We were giving a good effort, but it wasn't 100% effort every single day. So I started to write down these words, and then it started to take the shape of a baseball field. And I was having, some feedback from my colleagues, and I rely on people around me to help me quite a bit. And lo and behold, we came up with what looks like a baseball field. And, in a baseball diamond, what they talk about, the most important part of it is the catcher, the pitcher, the shortstop, and center fielder. So going right up the gut from, as you're looking at that photo, it is love, trust, commitment, and effort. Those are the backbones of the Arizona Diamondbacks. And then there's other words in there. I do know by heart, adaptability, communication, awareness, focus, little things like that, that are also in the periphery as you're going about your daily activity. This is what happens every single day inside of our culture, and it's a real thing, and it's real because it breathes. There's a lot of times people will come up and say, "You ought to do this," and go get them, coach, and go get them, team, and give it your best try. Those are so empty. Those things are empty to us. We make these words breathe every single day. So I talk about them every single day. The players start to gravitate to them, and we understand every single word inside of this culture, and we have defined it to our guys. What does this mean to me? What does it mean to you? And what does it mean to a team? So there is no misunderstanding when we talk about what it means to be an Arizona Diamondback, and we live these words every single day.
Right, right. And I mean, this brings me to, a point that we as financial advisors often talk about. It's not timing the market, but time in the market. It sounds like it's very similar with sports, where it's an everyday process. It's training, it's getting out there, it's doing that hard work on a daily basis to get the outcome that you really want, right? Would you say that there's some similarities between, like, say, sports and what you've learned and experienced from, the investment world?
I would say so, 100%. I'm a baseball manager. I've had a
Mhm.
uniform on my whole life, but I've tried to explore and understand and see what makes different industries work. I think the investment world is very unique because it is constantly changing and constantly evolving, whether it's new laws or new guidelines you have to follow, or new structures and new setups for particular investments and different types of funds. It never stops.
Mhm.
And one of my biggest fears is getting stuck in 2005 or
Yeah.
2015 and not growing and learning. And I think the best financial advisors are the ones that are consistently studying, consistently up to date, and very creative and very proactive
Mhm.
and reactive. I think you have to be both, but you have to be an expert in that field. And I think the best ones never stop learning and growing. And that's really what we do every single day on a baseball field. And we believe in the process, and we believe in the routine, and we believe in the continuity. And it shows
Right.
up every single day.
So, looking at this baseball kind of diamond that you have here, and the effort, commitment, trust, love, the philosophy behind the hard work that goes into building a great team. Um, are there any financial rules or habits that you abide by on a personal basis?
Um, nothing earth shattering. Okay, nothing earth shattering. I will say this. I trust those that I have given that responsibility to. I
Mhm.
ask a lot of questions, and I fearlessly ask those questions so I can learn and understand what's going on. And
Right.
in return, I think there's communication is two ways. You got to be an active listener, and you got to also participate in the conversation. So I always appreciate the give and take inside of that world. I always, a red flag for me is when and this is just my own personal thing, and it might
Yeah.
be, something from way back, but when somebody is asking me to do something and forcing me to do something and seems desperate and pushing to do something that
Mm,
I'm not ready for,
mm,
that makes me a little uncomfortable. And I always back out of that and ask for a little bit more time. So I'm always very thankful for the types of conversations that go back and forth to where I can learn and grow and feel like I have an investment in this as well. And trust me, I'm a baseball person first and foremost. Trust me, I know where I am when I'm having these conversations. But when there's desperation, I can sense
mhm.
it. And I don't
Right.
like when there's desperation in those types of conversations.
Well, that seems similar to coaching, right? So you can't force a player to, you know, behave or do a play or train the way, you think without a buy-in from them, right? So you need that kind of buy-in. So that, I mean, that sounds um, quite similar, it seems, to my world, where you have a collaborative relationship where you walk together with the client and the financial advisor, and everyone's got to be on the same page, right? So it's your money, but at the same time, it's the financial advisor's guidance, and for both people to be on that same page, have that buy-in, and then and then that just makes it easier to move forward as a team, right?
100%, 100%. So as you're looking at that baseball field that we're talking about, right? So the love, trust, commitment, and effort. So you gotta build a little bit of trust. You gotta love somebody up to build that trust. So once you have trust, you can't damage that, and you got to build a very strong
Mhm.
foundation. And
Mhm.
I obviously have known you for almost 25 years now, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
I know that in our conversations, if you don't know me and I ask questions, you might roll your eyes at me, but you are patient and you are seeing it through
Never,
when
Tori. What?
you'd
Never.
never do. But if you didn't know me, you'd probably be like, oh my God, is this guy serious? What's he talking about? But because of the trust and and the confidence that we have in one another, and the stability within a friendship, you know where I'm coming from. And that takes time, and that takes
Mhm.
effort, and that takes patience.
Absolutely.
And you have invested in hours and hours and hours in conversations that have built this trust. So when we walk through something, we walk through it together, and I never feel like I'm alone.
Mhm. Well, I love, working with you, working with your family and extended family. And what I absolutely, absolutely love is what you said a little bit earlier, that, you really think it's important to ask those hard questions. And I always know that you care, about the success of your, financial life. Some people don't have as much interest, and I feel a little bit alone in the desert, shouldering that responsibility, but I do appreciate their trust. I love, though, that you do show an interest in learning, in, walking with me, on our financial journey. I also must say that you are an incredible role model, right? So I know you, I know your family, and, everyone does absolutely look up to you, but the players must also look up to you. So, and they're probably looking for guidance, I'm sure, not just with being a better player, but also maybe with their finances. How are you able to guide them? I mean, most of your players are in their, 20s, maybe even 30s. Is there any piece of financial advice that you impart to them, and hope that they would follow?
Yes. I am in a very unique position, right? I am their field manager. I'm the one that has to tell them what to do, and put them in a lineup and take playing time from them, give them playing time, read and react to what they're doing. but I think every successful manager has a relationship with every player, so they do have the ability to touch on these types of subjects. I think way back in the day, old school managers were like cowboys, and they just would say, "Do it, shut up, and I don't care to know you. Just give me the results on the field, and we're good." But what I've learned over the course of time is that I got to have a relationship with these young players. They make a lot of money. They're able to make a lot of good decisions, and they're also able to make a lot of bad decisions. So I can branch off into that area. Once again, I wish I had more knowledge of the financial world and could give them a better landscape, but I'm able to give them the basics. I'm able to talk to them about some of the things that we're just talking about. Love, trust, commitment, and effort on the Arizona Diamondbacks should be kind of the things that you believe in with your relationships outside of the baseball field as well. And you hit on a huge word, caring. When somebody cares about you the right way, you're in good hands. You start to build trust and build faith that they're going to be able to make good decisions. So I make sure, and I talk to them about the financial impact of what that they could potentially have and what they're getting ready to walk into. Don't leave your money scattered on the table. Find somebody that you trust, find somebody that you believe in, and find somebody that you feel like you can build a long-standing relationship with, because you will today be very happy when you're my age that you've made some really good financial decisions. I've had a lot of friends of mine, I've had a lot of players of mine that have run through their fortunes, and at the end of the rainbow, there is no pot of gold. I want to make sure that there's a lot of stability by them making good decisions and sitting down and becoming educated and asking a lot of questions and asking why this is happening in my world when it comes to their finances.
So that's interesting. It makes me think that, yeah, you come across a lot of different situations. You've seen it all, right? You've seen people just wipe through the hard-earned money that they have gotten from being such a successful baseball players. So what have you seen? What mistakes have you seen in your career with some of the players or even yourself, where you're like, I definitely, you learn something from it. You learn something that you just want to pass on to others
Yeah.
and other players.
Yeah. It's a great question, because sharing knowledge and sharing experiences are probably the most valuable thing that a teacher, and I consider myself a teacher, can give the students, which in this turn are the players. Yeah, I made an investment in a very successful stock, and it was making a lot of money, and I suddenly became the expert. And I made the decision to pull that money out of the stock and enjoy what I thought was the fortune. And it was probably 20 years too early. And I'm sitting here today thinking, if I had left that money in that potential particular stock, that I would be in a totally different financial situation. So what I learned on that day was, yes, I can be stubborn. Yes, I thought I knew everything, but I clearly could make a big mistake by being hasty and reading the wrong tea leaves. And I should have left. I should have left it up to the expert. And the expert was telling me, you're making a big mistake. But at the time, I thought it was maxed out, and it was far from maxed out, and I made a big mistake. So I'll pass that along to the players. I'll usually say, look, you have to, if you're going to stay in the area, buy a home. If you have extra money, don't go buy a car. Don't do the things that are unnecessary. Get your base and build that trust with somebody that can handle your finances, and don't try to be the expert in your field, in that field.
But I mean, I wouldn't knock yourself to the ground, or right? No one has a crystal ball. Hindsight's 2020, and it could have gone south, right? But I hear you. They say, many people do build wealth through concentration, but keep their wealth through diversification, right? So, concentration can work, and I've seen it. I've seen it with some clients, absolutely. But at the same time, it could have potentially gone in the other direction. There are different strategies, but I like how you lean on professionals now you're a professional in your field of expertise, and it's always good to have that advisory board with you, right? Whether it be, CPA, state planning attorney, financial advisor, loved one and whatnot, your mom,
Yeah,
perfect
yeah,
example, someone that's really got your back, and basically a team to support you. So I think
yeah.
but that's great advice. So
If you want me to talk to you about picking up a ground ball or hitting a line drive to center field, I'm your guy. I'm your guy. But if you want me to tell you about how to invest your money wisely, I am not your guy. So I I tell our young players, trust the people around you that they're going to make really good decisions, and then take your eye off it. And that'll take the burden off you, right?
yeah,
Just relax and do what you do best, and know financially that you're going to be in a good spot because you have people that are experts in this field.
yeah.
Like you're an expert on the baseball field. This is their thing. Take the burden, take the stress off, no anxiety financially, and you can go perform at a high level on a baseball field.
Absolutely. And then it helps you do your job and focus on your job even better,
Absolutely.
right? So,
Totally.
so that brings me to my next question. So, you don't necessarily have to be a baseball manager in order to be extremely busy, but you are extremely busy. I mean, you're one of the busiest people that I know, and I do know a lot of successful people. That said, because you're so busy managing a professional baseball team and making sure every player is set up to help the Diamondbacks win, it must leave you very little time to manage your own personal finances. How do you stay on top of things? Do you have a process? What do you do?
Yeah, it's a fairly difficult thing for me to do. I don't micromanage it. I don't pay attention to it every single day. I will glance at it at different points in time, and then once again, just trust the person and the people around me that have made these investments for me.
Mhm.
Of course, I don't run totally away from it, so there is zero responsibility. I have to be situationally aware of what's going on. But because of how busy I am, it is impossible. I just don't have the bandwidth to do it every single
Mhm.
day or by the week. But I like to stay informed. I think every good good man or woman that pays attention to their financial structure and financial situation. I think it's important. I think it's
Mhm.
important. It maybe gives you a little bit of peace of mind when you see some things and you're like, okay, yeah, well, that's going well, or that's happening on the level that I want it to. And once again, you can have a very informed conversation, and you can be just situationally aware of what's going on around you.
Right.
I can't dive into it on the level that I want to. Maybe when I retire as a baseball manager, I will. But for
Mhm.
right now, I know I'm in good hands, and I just want to
Mhm.
make sure that people around me know that, and I want to um, give them the space to perform and do what they do best.
So, and I love that. I love that you are trusting and loyal. I know that. Um, and I love that you do, lean on your trusted advisor. That said, I wanted to kind of switch topics to you were mentioning that stock that shall not be named that you could have held on to maybe for 20 more years, whatnot. And, that could, in your heart, you might have looked at that as like a hiccup, it should be considered a successful investment in my book because you made money, but at the same time, you might consider it as a slight failure because, oh, if only I'd held on to it, right? But when looking at, say, for example, the Diamondbacks making it to the World Series, but just not quite winning it. I mean, I consider that a success because you made it to the World Series. And there are only two teams that make it to the World Series. So to me, that's a success. And to you, I know it was in some elements a disappointment. But what did you learn from it, right? Just like you learned from that stock experience, what'd you learn that you can really take away from your experience making it to the World Series?
Yeah, I know that I've shared some of how I felt with you in another conversation. And you know what? I went through the disappointment, the feeling like a failure. You didn't do it. You get to the edge and you can't quite jump in the right direction. You kind of feel helpless. That those were just the instinctual things that I was feeling right when the game was over, when we got eliminated in the World Series. But time has told me a different story. Time has told me that I am proud of what we did. I am proud of this organization. I am proud of the culture that we have built. We are going to remember the path forward every single day and remember what our purpose is every single day. We did maybe, we got an A- on a test. Everybody wants to get an A, but an A- is okay.
Right.
So I feel like the failures, the coming up short, however you want to categorize it, I find that extremely motivating because I do strive for excellence. It's impossible to be perfect, but I strive for excellence every single day, and that'll be my messaging to the team this year. Like we did it, we got very close. We know what it tastes like, we know what it smells like, and we know what it feels like. And there's no reason for us not to go out every single day and give our best to one another. And that's really what it comes down to. You're playing for the person next to you. You're playing for the name on the front of your jersey rather than the back of your jersey. And we are a team that's going to continue to grow and learn every single day. What I really learned is that anything is possible. We were the little, as
Yeah.
my mom would send me texts and she would say, "You're the little engine that could, Torey. Just keep going on, keep marching forward." Um, Anything is possible. We were that little engine. We were the little brother that grew up quickly. We believe in process. We believe in routine. And that when you are a united team, when you are a connected team, you're a very dangerous team. And I know that's the same in every business. If you're a connected business, if the boss is able to have a conversation with anybody on the floor, that is helpful. And there's connectivity from player one, player two to player 45, all the way through to the front office and the manager. And we are extremely connected and we can do very dangerous things. And I think everybody really believes that in their core and their heart when they walk into our clubhouse.
Yeah. I mean, definitely you can see it. You can see it on the field, and here. Um, I think something that you mentioned about just day in and day out, putting your best foot forward, being that little engine that could, that's inspirational. Is that something that you want to be remembered by? Is there anything else you want to be remembered by?
Hmm. Oh man.
And that's both on and off the baseball field,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. I think I want to be remembered by some of the values that I have. The wins and losses are going to come and go, and I love that. When you win, you're the smartest manager in the world. When you lose, you're the dopiest manager in the world, right? But every single day, I live by my values. I live by being accountable. I live by being open and honest. I live by being a good listener, a good communicator. I live by having a growth mindset. That's what I want people to think of when they think of me. A good friend, a loyal leader, and somebody that strives to make those around him better every single day. Those are unchangeable. You can't win or lose games by some of the things that I just said. That's who I am at my core. And that's what I want people to think about when they think of me. And of course, I want to win a World Series. Not everybody gets a chance to. And if we do, it'll be very, very special. But I'll still have all those same values inside of me. Those will never change.
It's awesome. Well, I definitely hope you do win that World Series. But I know that a lot of people, including myself, will remember you as a winner no matter what.
Thank
Um,
you.
last question before I let you kind of finish it off with your own words. Um, I want to know where you want to be in 5 years. Obviously, you want to be standing on the podium with your team, you know, having won the World Series. But do you have any goals financially and professionally besides the, winning the World Series? And how do they kind of connect?
Yeah. Wow.
A lot to unpack there. I know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. It is. I think about things differently today than I did 5 years ago, clearly 10 years ago, and maybe even 2 years ago. I financially want to make sure that everything is secure and in place without worry, for myself, my wife, my children. It's just who I am. I am my. I have a father that was named Sam Lovullo, so I was raised a certain way.
Great
Um,
man. Great man.
right. Thank you. And I feel like I care for those around me, and I want to make sure everything's okay. 25 years ago, that was the last thing on my mind. You grow up and evolve, and you maybe mature. I guess I'm an older man now, but I just want to make sure that everything is set up in a way where there's limited worry and there's limited concern, that if we want to go to Starbucks every single day in 15
Yeah.
years when I retire, we can go to Starbucks every single day in
Mhm.
15 years. So I have made some good financial decisions. There is some financial stability. And I just want to continue to make sure that it's moving in that direction. That gives me great comfort when I put my head on the pillow.
Mhm.
Professionally, I do want to win World Series, and I don't want to. And you're gonna think this guy's the biggest idiot in the world, right?
Never.
If you win one, I think people could say you're lucky, right? Like, oh, you guys had a nice break here and there. But
Oh, you want to win too.
if you win two, you put a stamp on it. You know what I mean? You're like, one is good, two, wham, here you go.
You want to
So
carve your name in the tree is what you want to do. Yeah,
that's
you
exactly
and the
right.
Arizona Diamondbacks. Yep.
I want people to think of the Arizona Diamondbacks as a championship organization that had done it at a very high level for a really long time. And I don't want to do this forever. I have a lot of friends of mine that have done this for a long, long time, and they kind of die in baseball. I have a very, very unbelievable family, and I want to repay them with some of the time and commitment that they've given me. So, if I do it 5 more years, I wouldn't be surprised. If I do it
Yeah.
10, whatever it is. I got to a certain point in my life where I'm getting closer, and I think about things a little bit differently.
Mhm.
Stability in my personal life,
Mhm.
financially, and personally, and then professionally, to accomplish a few more things. And we're really, really close. And I feel like we're just about there.
So I love it. It looks like professionally you have a plan of great success, and then financially it looks like you want and have a plan that you are living out, right? So
Yes.
it's like having a playbook that you really abide by, that to make for a successful win. So I think that's fantastic. Is there anything that you want to leave us with? Any final words that you want to say, before we end?
It's always hard for me to put words on things, so you were able to kind of guide me down this path. But I just feel like every successful business, every successful organization, we are business and you're a business, we're an organization. I think there's an overlap. When you do it right, and you do it with care, and you do it with love, that's a separator. I don't care what people say. When you give somebody that undivided attention, when you put down your pencil when somebody walks into your office and look them in the eyes and have that type of conversation that he or she is looking to have with you, it's invaluable. So sometimes a text is great. Sometimes an email is even better. But the best thing is when you can look somebody in the eye and have a conversation where you have their undivided attention, and vice versa. That to me is the greatest connector anybody can have every single day. So when you think you can't give somebody 5 minutes, you just don't know how far it'll go for them.
Awesome. That's awesome. Well, you will always have my undivided attention. I can tell you that because you always have something incredible to say that I gain value from. So I appreciate you. So thank you so much for your time, Torey Lovullo. And I can't say I wish you two wins because I feel confident that you will have two wins. And I know that you know more than anyone else that it's not wishing that does it. It's hard work and tenacity and that stubbornness that some might think is a bad thing that I think is an amazing good thing that's gotten you to where you are today. So thank you so much for your time.
Anytime, Sandra. Thank you for the time. I appreciate it.
Thanks. Bye-bye.